Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Thursday night contemporary worship. We have a few people here with us tonight, which is nice, and hopefully you guys are watching this. I have a couple announcements before we begin. First off, the worship in the park went really great this past weekend. I think it was this past weekend. We'll have another worship in the park on July 12th. Make sure you wear your mask and bring your communion elements and a chair. And we also, and your bulletin too. We also have a chicken barbecue coming up on July 25th. Please get your orders in by July 20th at noon. There's a special email for that, ucpchickenbarbecue@gmail.com. The price went up to $11 this time, just because the company that does it for us, their prices are going up, so we had to up our price to make a little more profit. So hopefully you guys will continue to send in your orders. I already have some, and we will enjoy another chicken barbecue together. So, like I said, it's Thursday night worship, and we're here, and you are allowed to come and worship with us Thursday nights at 7 o'clock wearing your mask. And so we're just going to get started with a song that is pretty much a brand new song, and I just heard it today and said this is perfect. So here it is, Together for King and Country.
This is for the busted hearts. This is for the question marks. This is for the outcast soul, lost control, no one knows. Sing it for the can't go back. Sing it for the broken past. Sing it for the just found out life is now upside down. If you're looking for hope tonight, raise your hand. If you feel alone and don't understand, if you're fighting the fight of your life, then stand. We're gonna make it through this hand in hand. And if we fall, we will fall together.
This is for the second chance. This is for the new romance. Singing for the left in vain. Overcame. It's not too late.
If you're looking for hope tonight, raise your hand. If you feel alone and don't understand, if you're fighting the fight of your life, then stand. We're gonna make it through this hand in hand. And if we fall, we will fall together.
together with our differences. Together we are bolder, braver, stronger.
Cool, so I hope you enjoyed that song. Again, that was Together by King and Country featuring a couple of other people. But I thought that was kind of good to kind of set the mood that we can rise together, and when we fall, we are backing each other up and we can help each other hand in hand. And that kind of leads me into tonight, which is the practice of mourning. M-O-U-R-N-I-G. So, mourning. And so when we're down, we can be lifted back up. And so the practice of mourning, the definition of it is to feel the pain and sadness of grief, to experience the heartache of death or of loss, and to emotionally express feelings of lament. So when you think of mourning, this type of mourning, what do you think of? What kind of comes to your mind? Loss. Sadness. Heartache. Yeah. It could be because of the death of a loved one, a death of somebody you know. It could be maybe the death or the loss of a pet. It could be the loss of a friend. Maybe you have lost your friend. And if we're talking about right now in our world, maybe it's the loss of some of our different things that we were able to do. Maybe it's grieving, mourning the loss of being able to be in church in a normal way. Maybe it's mourning the fact that we have to do things differently, and the way we live our lives is no longer the way we used to. And a lot of people don't think of that. A lot of people think of mourning and sadness and loss as somebody dying. But it doesn't just have to be that, right? Mourning is for anything that is a loss in our life. We've lost some of the things that we were able to do, like sing in church or be able to hug each other. That's something we can mourn about. It may seem silly to some people. Well, gee, I don't need to mourn the loss of not being able to sing or not being able to shake hands or hug someone. But if you really think about it, that's a hurt inside of you if you are a hugger or a singer. That's something that is hurt inside of you, and that's something that, even if it seems so little compared to maybe death, it's something that you need to kind of overcome or be able to accept in your heart that you need to mourn that. Because if we don't go through these phases properly, then we're going to be in a worse shape or a worse place than we already are, right? So, from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, he says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." That's the second beatitude that he talks about in the Sermon on the Mount. And so even Jesus is saying, blessed are those who mourn. It is okay to mourn because you're going to be comforted. By who? Well, if the people around you aren't comforting, which hopefully they are, then God is going to comfort you in some way, and we have to reach out to him and ask for that comfort. So is there something in your life, thinking about those things, is there something in your life that you are mourning right now? Miriam. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something to mourn. The fact that Marianne was saying that her grandson is moving to another state and she's always had him around, and that's something very hard for her right now that she's mourning, because he's not dead, but he's moving somewhere else, which is very different. Yeah, and
just like other people have relatives who may not see them that often, but you know they're there.
Yeah, that's something definitely true. She was saying that sometimes you have people that live near you, and you know that they're near you and you have access to them, but when they move so far away, that is something to mourn. That is something that can be hard because they're a lot farther away at that point. Is there anything else anybody here is mourning, whether a death or something else in the church or in your life?
I think in the church setting, just mourning the fact that I can't be with everyone like I used to.
Yeah, Anthony was saying he's mourning the fact that he can't sing with everyone like he used to. Anthony loves to sing. Obviously, you've seen it and you've heard it. And he said that it hurts for him because he cannot sing with everyone, and that's something he enjoys doing. And now that might seem, yes, Mary Ann said me too. And I certainly miss having people here. That's something I'm mourning, and miss being able to hug my church family. And I know a lot of people that I'm friends with in my life are mourning the loss of being able to go to camp and have summer camp this summer, which is super hard for a lot of people, especially some of those who camp has been their life for 20, 30 years, and now this is something very different. So maybe it's not something that somebody has died, and it may seem small to you or small to others, but in your heart, that is something you're mourning. It's something you need to realize, and it's okay to do that, right? Yeah, she said the seniors didn't have a normal graduation. They didn't have a normal end of their year. Some of them missed out on a lot of different end of year things, and maybe senior trips or senior skip day or prank day or whatever the end of senior year entails for seniors in schools today. And so that's hurts for a lot of people. I know a lot of seniors that are kind of happy with the way things turned out because they got some special recognition, but also very sad because some of these friends of theirs from school they're never going to see again and never got to say a proper goodbye. Kind of like also for the teachers as well, I work in a school as well, and we let the kids out on Friday and never got to say goodbye to them or get closure for that. And for a lot of teachers, that's kind of hitting hard now because they're like, oh, the school year is over and we got to like wave goodbye to them or give them their stuff, but wow, we never got to finish up and watch these kids grow even more. So it's very difficult to have that happen too. When things change, that's when things get pretty scary for us, or things get sad, right? Sometimes when things change, it can be good though. So there are many stages of grief, right? And I think I have it in here. In the book, if you haven't joined us before, we're in the book that I'm pulling all this from. Ellen let me borrow this book. It's a book by Kathy Escobar called Practicing Changing Yourself to Change the World. Excuse me. And in her book, it talks about not comparing grief. So, like I said, it's okay to have different things in your life that you're grieving, and maybe your grief of the loss of someone is different than the grief of the loss of somebody else. Maybe your grieving of the church and the way it is, or your work and the way it is different than somebody else. Maybe this didn't really affect people, not being able to come to church and stuff, and they're okay with it online, and it's not really bothering them too much, but for some people it is very, very hard for them, and that is okay too. So don't compare yourself and don't compare your grief to others, because everyone is different in that sense. And to go along with that, the stages of grief are not linear. If you look up, you can go online, there's many resources for grief and the stages of grief as well, but all the stages of grief, they're not linear. Some days you'll have great days, and then other days you'll get hit with a burst of grief. which she also talks about in here, that it's okay to accept those bursts of grief. On days when you just all of a sudden get hit with that, I really miss that, or, oh my gosh, this person should be here, right? It's okay to accept that and feel that in your heart, and know that that's okay. Even if maybe it's been 5-10 years since you lost that friend or the person in your life died, it's okay to feel that pain 10 years from now and say, whoa, I still miss them, because you're going to. And being honest with yourself and with others is good too. Being open and honest about where you are in your grief, how you feel when you go places. When you lose someone, it can be hard because a lot of people sometimes don't know what to say to you, right? They'll be like, hi, how are you doing? And avoid the topic of whatever happened. Or maybe they bring things up about your loved one. That's not where you are in your grief right now. Or maybe with the grief of not being able to go to church or not being able to sing. Maybe it's something you want to talk about and be honest with that, or maybe it's something that you've just heard way too much about, all the coronavirus stuff lately and all the political stuff lately, and say, I just don't need to hear anymore right now. I'm ready for a break, and that's okay too. And being open and honest with people about that is good, because then other people will be able to know where you are so they can meet you there or meet you halfway. Also, let go of how you're supposed to grieve. Is there a right or a wrong way to grieve? No, not really. There's no right way. There's no, okay, when you lose your friend because you're no longer friends with them, or when this person in your family dies, okay, you go and you go to the service and you cry a little bit and you say your goodbyes and you feel better. There's no proper way. That's definitely not how it works. I can tell you from experience. But sometimes we feel like there's supposed to be a proper way to do things, right? There's supposed to be a proper way, and this is how it's always been done, or this is how other people do it, or, well, my friend lost her so-and-so, and now I should be feeling this way because that's how she felt. But then we go back to don't compare yourself to others, right? Because God's on your side and God's got you and knows where you are and where you should be in your level of grief or mourning, depending on where you are with Him and where you are within yourself. Also, it's okay to not be okay, right? It's okay to feel the hurt or feel the loss or feel sadness. I mean, it's not okay to dwell and live in that sadness every day, but maybe 10 minutes out of your day, you just need to take time and say, man, I'm really feeling this, and maybe you need to pray to God to help you with that, or maybe you need to just accept the fact that you're feeling sad about the way the world is right now, or feeling sad that you lost a loved one, or feeling sad that we can't all be in church together, or feeling sad that you're not at work or with your friends out partying for the summer or whatever. It's okay to have those feelings, but just don't dwell and live in them. Also, another thing which I find is really interesting and I love very much is also when people are crying, when people are sad, let them cry, right? Now, a lot of people will say, what? You don't want people to cry, you got to give them a tissue. Well, actually, it's not only in the book I read about it, which brought up memories from my mom and I went to Grief Share. And in Grief Share, they put tissues out in the middle of the room, but they never give them to you because they say tears are for healing. So when you're crying, you're healing. And if you want a tissue, you can grab it, but you never stop the person's tears, which is really an interesting thing to think about, because automatically our instincts are, that person's crying, I need to get them a tissue, I need to help them stop. Yes, Marianne?
I'm a person who does not tear up much, and I always feel kind of guilty because I don't tear. That's just not my thing. My husband starting to get tears, and I'm not wanting to manufacture a whole lot of tears. I'm sad, but I don't tear up, and so sometimes I feel like people think I have a cold heart because I'm not tearing up, but I am sad. It just doesn't come out of my eyes.
Yeah.
So I would not be wanting people ready to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right. So Marianne was saying that a lot of times she doesn't really tear up, but she feels sadness. So it's kind of like I was talking about with everyone feels it in different ways. And she said her husband can get very emotional just watching something sad on TV, but she doesn't always cry a lot. And sometimes that's okay. That's not how our bodies work sometimes. And you know that you're sad, and even if you're crying or not crying, you know how you're feeling, and God knows how you're feeling as well. So, so when we stop people's tears, though, that we're stopping their healing process, and that's kind of our first instinct, is to comfort them, make them better, move on. But letting them cry and letting them feel their feelings, or letting yourself cry and feel your feelings, is sometimes a really good thing to do. So, talking about lament. What is lamenting? Anybody know? Yeah, kind of letting go of your feelings, grieving your losses. It's not like just crying or just like letting it out. It's telling, I am feeling this way, and really letting yourself get into all of your feelings and letting yourself just go with your tears, with your feelings, talking about it, talking to God about it, and really just getting into that core feeling. So here's some things if you would like to lament. These are some phrases that you can use to think about. So I challenge you guys to just kind of think about these things. So I'll give you a little time in between to think, and then I'll say the next one. So if you're having a problem, or if you're mourning, or if you just need to be honest with God, you can say, God, right now I feel my heart is heavy with, my eyes can't see, my ears can't hear, my fingers can't touch, I'm so sad about. And I hope that once again I can feel. So those are some interesting thoughts, right? Interesting phrases to think about. Sometimes we're not always completely honest with ourselves or with God, but that's how we lament. That's how we tell God, I am feeling this right now, God, and I want to tell you that. I hope that I can feel this way again. Or I'm so sad about the fact that I can't go and do what I want without a mask anywhere, anytime, and hug and love everyone that I love right now. I'm so angry that I cannot be with my friends. I'm so angry that I cannot be at church with my church family. I'm so sad that I didn't get to finish my senior year of high school. My heart is heavy with the fact that I'm worried about my friends and family getting the coronavirus. Being honest with God is how we lament. That's how we get our feelings out there, and that can get us thinking and working through our problems and working through the process of grief and mourning. Even if we are just mourning the fact, I say just, even if we are mourning the loss of somebody, we're mourning a pet running away, we're mourning not being able to sing. We're mourning our grandson moving away. We're mourning not being together. Right? So being honest with God, that is the first key step. So if we kind of wrap this up, bringing it back to Jesus. Jesus, right before he died, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those few days. On Thursday, he lived, right? He was living, he was helping, he gave out. It was Thursday he gave the good supper, or the Last Supper, right? Thursday he gave the Last Supper. He was living out his word, living out God's word. Then Friday he was taken, and Saturday he died. Or Friday he was taken and died. And then Saturday, what happened? He was in the tomb. That's right. And there was grief. Sorry, I mushed my days together.
A lot of despair, right?
There was a lot of despair, a lot of grief. And then on Sunday, there was new life. He rose again. Now, in our lives, when we're going through mourning and in grief and sadness, it's not going to necessarily go just like that. Live, death, grieve, new life. It might go from living happily to death, to grief, back to living, back to life, back to death, and then somewhere in between. But eventually we're going to get to that part where we have our new life. We're creating something new, right? Now, it might not be normal again, but we like to say sometimes is we're living a new normal, something new that we're getting into, and new doesn't always have to be bad. It can be a great thing. So, my challenge for you this week is to be open and honest with God and yourself. How are you feeling? What things are you sad about? What things can't you see right now? What things can't you touch right now? What things are making you angry? What things are making you sad? Think about it, and I challenge you to think about that this week and do that as well. Will you pray with me? Dear God, I thank you so much for everything that you have given us. I thank you for letting us be able to be open and honest with you and lament to you and tell us, and have us be able to tell you how we're feeling and why we're feeling that way, and be able to, and have you be able to help us get through the grief, get on to living a new normal, and have you with us through it the whole way. In your name I pray, amen. All right, so we have another song, and Anthony is going to sing for us. What song was this?
Come As You Are.
Come As You Are, that's right.
Out of sadness, wherever you've been, come broken hearted, the rescue begin. Come find your mercy, O sinner, come kneel. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. Lay down your hearts, come as you are.
at the table. Come taste the grace. There's rest for the weary, rest that endures. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't cure. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. So lay down your hurts, lay down your heart. Come as you are. Come as you are. Fall in his arms. Come as you are. There's joy in the morning. Oh, sinner, be still. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. Lay down your hurts, lay down your heart. Come as you are. Come as you are. As you are. Come as you are.
Thank you, Anthony. So I hope that you all are able to, in some form, take on the challenge this week. Know that you're not alone. God is by your side, and there are plenty of people out there that love you and care about you as well, even if you just need an ear or somebody to have you, somebody to listen to you. Marianne said the music made her feel better, and that's my hope. I hope that the message that God is helping me provide to you, and I hope that the music and the lyrics really help you feel comforted and help you be able to feel God's peace and know that God is here for you, even in times when we're a little worried or scared. So until we meet again next week, we hope to see you here again at 7 o'clock next week. If not, you can still keep tuning in. We will still keep recording for you. So hope to see you next week. Thank you.